Welcome to this training brought to you by the North San Diego County Realtors, where we turn real-world case interpretations published by the National Association of Realtors into practical lessons that strengthen your understanding of the Code of Ethics in action. Today's focus: obligation to present subsequent offers after acceptance from Case Interpretation 1-13 under Article 1 of the Realtor Code of Ethics. Let's begin with Article 1 of the Realtor Code of Ethics. In this case, the question is clear. Even after a seller has accepted one offer, do you still have to present new offers?
Realtor A had a 90-day exclusive listing on Seller X's property. Seller X instructed Realtor A to list his property at $150,000 based upon the sales price of a neighbor's house, which had sold a month earlier. Realtor A aggressively marketed the property, following the listing with the board's MLS, running a series of advertisements in a local newspaper, holding several open houses, and distributing flyers on the property at local supermarkets. Realtor A, whose listing contract was nearing expiration, held another open house on the property, which resulted in an offer to purchase from buyer Y at $15,000 less than the listed price. Realtor A, convinced that this was the best offer Seller X was likely to obtain, persuaded Seller X to accept the offer. Seller X expressed dissatisfaction with Realtor A's failure to obtain a full price offer, but signed the purchase agreement nonetheless. The next day, Realtor B, a cooperating broker, delivered to Realtor A full price offer on Seller X's property from buyer Z. Buyer Z had attended an earlier open house and was very enthusiastic about the home's location, stating that it would be perfect for his mother. Realtor A advised Realtor B and buyer Z that an offer had already been accepted by Seller X and that he, Realtor A, would not present buyer Z's offer. Realtor B and buyer Z then promptly filed a complaint with the board charging Realtor A with a violation of Article 1, as interpreted by Standard of Practice 1-7. At the hearing, Realtor A stated that he felt he was under no obligation to present buyer Z's offer, since the listing agreement did not specifically provide that subsequent offers would be presented to the seller. Further, Realtor A felt that such a practice could only lead to controversy between buyers and sellers, as well as result in breached contracts. "Why get everyone in an uproar?" said Realtor A, "by presenting offers after one has already been accepted. And what would I do if Seller X wanted to back out of the first purchase contract and accept buyer Z's offer?" The hearing panel found Realtor A in violation of Article 1. In their findings of fact and conclusions, the hearing panel cited Realtor A's lack of understanding of the requirements of Article 1, as interpreted by Standard of Practice 1-7. The panel noted that state law did not prohibit the presentation of offers after an offer had been accepted by the seller. That the fact that the listing contract was silent on whether subsequent offers would be presented did not relieve Realtor A from the obligation to present such offers. That as the agent of the seller, Realtor A must always act in the seller's best interest and advise the seller of all offers submitted. And that should the seller wish to consider accepting the subsequent offer, Realtor A must advise the seller to seek the advice of legal counsel.
Realtor A had a 90-day exclusive listing on Seller X's property. Seller X asked for a $150,000 listing price based on a neighbor's recent sale. Realtor A aggressively marketed the property, MLS, ads, flyers, and open houses, and eventually received an offer from buyer Y at $15,000 below the list price. Convinced this was the best offer they'd get, Realtor A persuaded Seller X to accept. The very next day, Realtor B delivered a full-price offer from buyer Z, who had been enthusiastic about the home at an earlier open house. But Realtor A refused to present the second offer to Seller X, explaining that the first offer had already been accepted. Realtor B and buyer Z then filed an ethics complaint. At the hearing, Realtor A argued that because the listing contract did not specifically require presenting offers after one had been accepted, he was under no obligation to do so. He explained that presenting new offers after acceptance could create controversy between buyers and sellers, or even cause sellers to breach their first contracts. In his view, refusing to present buyer Z's offer was actually protecting everyone from conflict. The hearing panel found Realtor A in violation of Article 1. They explained that Standard of Practice 1-7 requires realtors to present all offers promptly until closing, unless the seller gives written instructions otherwise. The panel noted state law does not prohibit presenting new offers after acceptance. The listing contract silence did not relieve Realtor A of this obligation. As the seller's agent, he had a duty to advise the seller of all offers even after one was accepted. And if the seller wanted to consider the new offer, Realtor A's role would have been to advise the seller to seek legal counsel, not to withhold the offer entirely. Here are the key takeaways. You must present all offers promptly until closing, unless your client gives you clear written instructions not to. A listing agreement cannot erase your ethical obligations. Protecting clients means giving them all the information, not making the decision for them. If a seller wants to act on a subsequent offer, your job is to recommend legal counsel, not block the offer. Let's reflect. How would you handle a higher offer arriving after acceptance? Would you ever withhold a subsequent offer from your seller? And how would you explain this process to your seller so they know exactly what to expect? Thanks for joining us for this case interpretation review. This case shows that your duty to present offers continues even after one has been accepted, unless the seller instructs otherwise in writing. Protect your client's trust, act with honesty and loyalty, and stay grounded in the code. For more real-world training and resources, visit www.youtube.com/@NSDC Realtors.